The confirmation hearing for Ketanji Brown Jackson has been turned by Republicans into a complete and total clown show. In fact, during the second day of hearings, Senator Ted Cruz decided that he was going to bring up the issue, the often cited issue of critical race theory, and talk about racist babies.
Babies are taught to be racist or anti-racist. There is no neutrality. Another portion of the book, they recommend to babies confess when being racist. Now, this is a book that is taught at Georgetown Day School to students in pre-K through second grade, so 4 through 7 years old. Do you agree with this book that is being taught with kids that babies are racist?
What? I'm sorry, what? Okay, so incredibly disingenuous framing here from Ted Cruz. Obviously, the book, and look, Ted Cruz gave it away already, where it said, oh, babies can be taught to be racist or anti-racist. There is no neutrality. So think about it this way, right? So look, children, when they're brought into this world, they're not inherently racist. No one is inherently racist. And so what happens is that as a person goes through life, their accumulated experiences, what they've been taught, the society that they're in, can teach people certain things, certain values, right? And look, a lot of people go through life with some assumptions. A lot of people don't really factor race into a whole lot of things, unless, of course, they're exposed to how race does get interjected all throughout society and has some very big impacts. Now, I say a lot of people, actually a lot of white people don't consider race at all. Now, when it comes to black people, race is very much on their mind because they end up dealing with a lot of things related to the color of their skin. And so, you know, there's that. Now, Ted Cruz, being a white Canadian, has never had to deal with anything related to racism, right? And so it's easy for him to come back and say, oh, I can't believe they're teaching kids about race. And I actually have them go and apologize and confess when they're racist, when they do something racist. Now, it's super weird, right? So bad framing, but framing that is bad on purpose, because of course it gets the Pavlovian reaction from the people who are in the Republican Party, who are, you know, some who happen to be racist. Yes, and happen to think about this a lot. I know. But okay, so now, let's go to how Brown Jackson responded to this charge of racist babies. Take a look.
I do not believe that any child should be made to feel as though they are racist or though they are not valued or though they are less than, that they are victims, that they are oppressors. I don't believe in any of that. But what I will say is that when you asked me whether or not this was taught in schools, critical race theory, my understanding is that critical race theory as an academic theory is taught in law schools, and to the extent that you were asking the question, I understood you to be addressing public schools. Georgetown Day School, just like the religious school that Justice Barrett was on the board of, is a private school.
All right, so that's very clear, right? And I love how she answers that question, and I love how she stays cool, calm, and collected in the face of, like, obvious ridiculousness, right? Yes, she's right. Critical race theory, not taught in K through 12. It's taught in college-level courses. And by the way, this book is not critical race theory, for one. It's, again, anti-racism, which, by the way, everyone should be anti-racist. Because if you're not anti-racist, what does that make you? It makes you pro-racist. I don't think you want to be pro-racist. But anyway, look, she's like, obviously, I don't believe that any child should be made to feel as though racism is their fault. It's not. It's not. There are systems of oppression that are left over from the institutions of slavery and Jim Crow. Those institutions exist. Nobody's blaming white kids for that are born, okay? Nobody's blaming the children that are in school. But that doesn't mean that you can't raise awareness or teach them about these things that exist, because they do exist. But the whole thing about Republicans and critical race theory is we don't want to show them that it exists, because we are either embarrassed about it, or two, we want to continue these systems of oppression, because we happen to have gotten, I don't know, in positions of power as a result of those systems of oppression. And so, look, the whole thing is culture war du jour, right? And this entire thing, understand, has been planned out ahead of time. There was a tweet that was tweeted out yesterday about this time where, and this was by the official GOP Twitter account. Gee, I wonder if this whole thing has something to do with the midterm elections. Look, the elections in Virginia, and the reason that they're pushing this, of course, is that this showed how critical race theory, the whole idea of like, oh, parental rights, resonated with Republican voters. They turned out, they voted for Glenn Youngkin, and so now they're using that as a playbook. Okay, we're just going to push critical race theory, like this hysteria about critical race theory, all over. We're going to push it in every way that we can in order to try to repeat what happened in Virginia. And so that's what's going on, right? Now, of course, the cover for that is, oh no, we believe in parental rights. We think critical race theory takes that away and makes children feel guilty and bad. Ironically, the Republican Party is pushing bills that punish parents of trans children who give them support and gender-affirming health care and mental health care. What happened to parents? What happened to the rights of parents? What happened to supporting parents? Oh, right. Yes, of course. See, being a good parent and supporting your transgender child, well, the Republican Party, they look at it and they say, we hate it. Oh, we hate it so much. No, you must be a horrible parent to them. You must completely crush them if they're a trans person. And if you don't, we're going to put you in prison. But if you decide that you don't want your children to learn about racism at all, or the history of African Americans in this country and the kind of persecution and discrimination they had faced, well, no, we can't have them learn about that. No. You dare educate them kids. No. We want children to grow up ignorant so that maybe then they can become racist and then vote for Republicans, and we'll continue to win elections. And not only that, but it has the added effect of keeping them fighting over nonsense manufactured culture war issues while the donors continue to pick the pockets of the average American worker. That's ultimately what this is about. The Republican Party, remember, they don't really have an economic message to run on. And so you're seeing culture war, culture war, culture war. As far as Ketanji Brown Jackson is concerned, she is a deeply qualified person. She is incredibly smart. She has handled this clown show with absolute grace and professionalism. Despite again, these questions that were clearly designed, these lines of inquiry that were designed to basically irritate everyone, especially her. And look, Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham and a lot of these Republicans that were doing these lines of questioning, they were running the clown show and are essentially the ringmasters of the GOP circus.